and just kind of talk a little bit about the space, because they've only been open for a month here. Happy 1 month, guys. Oh, it's exactly 1 month today, because you opened on May 21st. So this is probably the most beautiful co-working space I've seen in Utah, and we'll have them come up and say just a little bit about it.
Great. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm just thrilled to have everybody here tonight. My name's Arian Lewis. I'm the founder of Kiln. And we are really excited to be here in Utah and to create a great community for entrepreneurs and creatives. Kiln really comes out of a desire to bring people together in the right way and create a community that provides the resources and the environment to help companies grow. My mother started a company 35 years ago, and back then there were very few resources available, especially for a female entrepreneur in Utah Valley. And I'm really very excited that we have a tremendous, diverse community here at Kiln. We have groups like Beta Boom, which is an accelerator that's been founded for female and minority entrepreneurs. We actually have just a tremendous group of tech entrepreneurs, and Brave, Allison, and crew are here on a regular basis, and so we would welcome you to come and collaborate with folks here at Kiln. Also, I know three of the panelists here tonight, and I've actually bought product from Jordan and her husband years ago, which my wife has strictly kept me on budget with. So I'm just thrilled to have you here after the event. If you'd like to, you're welcome to wander around the space and just get to know the space. If any of you know Kate and Paul, the founders of Rustica Hardware, it's a husband-wife combo. They actually helped us to create a lot of the furniture that's in Kiln. And if you want to Instagram about us, we're at Kiln Space. So we would love to get your photos and shout-outs for Kiln. How does the membership work? It's a monthly membership model. You can get 24/7, 365 access starting at $195 a month and going up from there. So you can start building your business from Kiln, and then we have products that work their way up if you become a bigger company, say up to 35 to 50 people in the company. So thank you and welcome.
So it's your name, about your business, and then a funny what happened to you this week.
Okay, I'm Betsy Mikesell, and I am the CEO of Betty's Zipper Bedding. Started because I had twins with bunk beds, and I couldn't figure out why they weren't making their bunk beds, and then I tried to get up and do it and realized nobody can make a bunk bed. There was no hacks, so that's why I started. I was just trying to think of something I laughed at this week, and one of the things I have, my twins, they're actually 14 now, and we had gotten Chinese, and they were putting the ham fried rice on the plate, and my little boy goes, not little, he's 14, but he's like, oh, I love the hot dogs in here, and I'm like, that's not hot dogs, that's ham, and he's like, oh, it is? And I'm like, that's why it's called ham fried rice, and he goes, oh, I thought it was called hand fried, like you fry it with your hands. So anyways, they're 14. And just learned it's called ham fried rice.
My name is Kylie Chen, and I am the founder CEO of a company called Acanela Expeditions. And we put together trips or expeditions all around the world, 1 to 2 weeks in length, focused on really immersing yourself with local people. And I guess a funny thing that happened to me this week, I don't know, I think every day I spilled something on my shirt. One day I put my shirt on backwards. That's why I'm not in product. I'm in service, I guess. So that's really my funny thing.
Hi, my name is Sarah Tiao. I have a blog called Our Life is Beautiful, and I do YouTube. I take outdated, ugly clothes and transform them into new. Something funny is, I totally blacked out. We have a funny that happened to us both.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so we were at a hotel at an influencer conference. We were there too. And they gave us those chocolate little cake things, but no forks. Did that happen to you? You didn't get cake? Sorry, she didn't get cake. So there was these little moose cake
we didn't have forks, so you had to eat them with straws like chopsticks. Which was your idea, which was almost a good idea, but it didn't work.
It was a good idea. So she took a bite first with the the pretend chopsticks, and she like barely got any. I was like, "You're not Asian, that's why." And so I'm like, "Let me try it." And then like barely
With these
got it.
straws.
And we were
Anyways,
in the story.
that counts as my funny. You can pick another. Okay, my name is Emily Smith. I run a blog called Modest Goddess. It's a modest fashion blog. And I've also started 2 companies in the last year, one of which I just sold. So one is Mentionables, which is a lingerie company that doesn't use any models. So there's one of them. And then the other one is called Tan Line Swim, and that's a modest swimwear company. And that was my funny thing that happened.
I didn't get cake. I'm just kind of mad about that, actually. I'm Jordan Page. I have a blog, Fun, Cheap, or Free, and it's kind of expanded over the years. I have a budgeting program, but we also talk a lot about parenting and productivity, and I do live events. I don't even know what I do anymore, just whatever I feel like that day. It's a lot of fun. And funny thing about, so today, so I've got 5, I'm pregnant, and I've got 5 kids. Somebody tested me, I might be insane, certified. So I took my kids to Airborne, which is like a trampoline place, by myself, pregnant, 5 kids, did I mention that? And my 2-year-old, who I love her dearly, but she's going to kill me, she just like climbed up the high dive thing and jumped into the pit of foam, the pit of death, as we prefer to call it. And she loved it, she did great until she had to climb up the ladder, and then of course she like froze halfway up the ladder, and there were all these kids that were trying. So I had to jump into the pit to rescue her. It was fabulous. I was just like floundering in the pit of foam. I was like, get in the car, we're leaving. No, I'm kidding, actually it was really fun. So that's what happened. Just today. Oh, that, do you want to hear yesterday's? I mean, I got one.
Okay, so the question, so Sunrise Kitchen did the treats for us tonight. Katie and Beverly, if you want to stand up back there. They're amazing. And they deliver. You deliver? They deliver to your door. So think about that. And then also the 2 traveling tailors who are in the next conference room over who have been doing tailoring for us. They also do like pop-up tailoring, like they come to your office and just set up for the whole day and then finish all your pieces by the end of the day. So if you see them around there wearing cute aprons and wearing measuring tape, then are really awesome. So our questions for tonight about Instagram are gathered from you guys, from our community, and also our team. So Instagram can be a mystery, and especially since it's always changing. And so that's why we've gathered our group of experts here tonight. So I'll get started. This is from one of our community members. She says, I've sponsored posts before, but I don't have a lot of money to spend on ads. Do you have other tips for gaining visibility on the cheap?
I heard the word cheap, I feel like. By the way, can I give it a shout out for Killam? I used to work at a virtual office space, 100 and whatever bucks that you said is a really good deal. So just letting you guys know. It's tricky. I think it's a double-edged sword. I don't focus on selling products outright. That's kind of it's the money-making side of my business, but I kind of sneak people into buying it. Unlike something like Betty's, where it's totally different, where you have a product and you have sales and you have seasons and mentionables and tan lines. It's a totally different story. So for me, I am an influencer and I have digital products on the side. I'm about to come out with some merch and then a baby brand, all this stuff. I truly don't know what I'm doing, all over the place. But this is what I have found for me, is that it's all about organic growth, because it's pay to play. And it's almost, what I have found is if you boost something once, it kind of lets them know that you're willing to pay the play. And it seems as though social media particularly almost like buries you a little more until you play the pay-to-play game again and again and again. So my personal model has been one of just organic growth. I don't do a lot of giveaways, because that also Those are good. Those are good for certain reasons, but I'm kind of the slow and steady turtle. That you have spikes, that's fine, but it kind of freaks out your algorithm and it really is hard to get back, and then you have this big chunk of followers and then you drop off. And same with boosting or sponsoring. So for me, it's been more about engagement. So I guess the long answer to a short question is, I have found that I avoid boosting or sponsoring posts. I do know there's great business in it when you do it well and right, but I haven't ever paid a dime to do it. And I made 6 figures in a week last month. Like, I feel like we're doing okay. So I just have to see that there is a way that you can do it by engaging with your audience and being really tuned in to them, what they want, what they need out of you, why they follow you, and really connecting with them on a deeper level, rather than just pay. That's me though.
I do have one. So I feel like early on, I had not a dime, it was me that I was like, I'm not paying myself. So I spent hours and hours and hours commenting on other influencers, on other brands, I spent so much time communicating, and I think that made me visible to other people. I know you said no giveaways. We've faded out a little bit on giveaways, but for me, it's a product that people aren't searching. So nobody knows Zipword Bedding exists, so they're not going to be searching it. So I did do some giveaways, and I think for me, now at this point, we'll give a gift card for an influencer to do a giveaway on their feed. We try not to do quite as many on our own feed, but giveaways also get your name out there. So sometimes it is helpful. I think there's a time for everything though. The loop giveaways in the beginning were awesome. It was great for us because people now knew that Zipword Bedding exists, but I think everyone's seen it so much that now when you see those, just think of yourself, like do you look at those things that say $800 giveaway to Target or free iPhone? You become blind to it after a while, and I think so that you just have to be careful to create the next new thing. So.
I think to go off that, for us at least, partnerships are huge, and that could be, that could be with, influencers, that could be with other brands, that could be with just followers even, but think, everyone around you is also trying to grow, right? And there are other people out there that want to be successful. Why not, reach out and find who those people are, those brands are, and work together. And it could be on a small scale at first. Giveaways is one example. We give away trips, so we get a lot of traction with our giveaways. But that's just one thing that you can do. And I think it's really important to stress the partnership aspect as well. And along that, don't put all your eggs in one basket, meaning, this panel is about Instagram, but I think it's really important that as you're building Instagram and as you're coming up with those strategies that work, maybe you try to leverage them on Facebook or YouTube or, kind of other platforms and see what works best for you. So, yeah.
Next question. I want to know how effective my content is on Instagram. What metrics do you use to measure the success of your Instagram posts and ad campaigns? And then how do you use those metrics to guide your strategy?
So I have a unique view in that I'm an influencer on one of my accounts and I'm a brand on my other accounts. So I started as an influencer first, and I got to see that side first, and brands would reach out to me and give me product that I would promote for them and try to drive traffic to them. And now I'm also on the other side where I'm reaching out, or I as the brand am reaching out to them. Actually, usually they're still reaching out to me and asking for swimsuits for their trips and whatever. So, remind me of the question one more time. So I had a thought. Oh, how do I measure whether it's effective or not?
Yeah, and then how do you use that to guide your strategy?
Okay, so it's been interesting to see, and so I have to pick which influencers are the most effective influencers before they go, right? So if I have all of these influencers asking me, hey, I want a swimsuit, and we can reverse this if you're mind, if you're the brand or the influencer in this scenario. So I have to try to figure out based on her other posts whether she is like a fake influencer or like actually an effective influencer, and based on how she's repping other brands in her other posts and her stories, which stories are killer, they're amazing. So an influencer who doesn't want to talk about your product in her stories is probably not going to be that effective because people just don't see everything in their feed anymore. But based on how many comments she has on her posts, so we were talking about this the other day, right? If you look at her posts and they're mostly other influencers commenting on her posts, this is totally, I stole this from Sarah, then you can tell that she's in comment pods, which is really interesting. And if you don't know what a comment pod is what a lot of influencers and brands use in the background. They have a DM group, a direct message group with like 12, 15 other followers on it, or accounts on it, influencers on it, and they all have high followings, or mostly they just care that they're all getting engagements. And when someone says, okay, I just posted, and everyone tries to go or is committed to go and comment. So that's not real engagement, but if you comment within the first 30 minutes and your comment has longer than 3 words, Instagram values it more. So if you can get that kind of traffic at the beginning, and that's a good way to get started, but really it's not an effective long-term strategy, because it might help a little bit to make sure that your regular followers see your posts, but if I see a blogger and all of her comments are always just like, oh my gosh, you're so cute, from other influencers, she's not really influencing anything. It's very interesting when I send a swimsuit to a blogger who has a really high follower count and she drives less sales or no sales that came from her that I could tell, and a way smaller blogger or much more micro influencer drives more because she is so much more engaged and her followers really are still connected to her. So that was a long answer of saying you can tell in the real comments whether she's really, and whether her followers think her content is authentic or not. And there's all these other metrics you can use that somebody else can talk about, but that's one that you can't measure yet, and that's why it still works.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that? Since
Yeah.
you mentioned the comment pods, I had heard that Instagram was trying to crack down on
They
those.
do.
And
They
do you
do.
know what they're doing to discourage it or to devalue it, or?
I know that, so it was in some a couple of years ago, I'm not in any right now, but I think that it could tell if you shared the post into a direct message, I think. Or maybe it knows it's the same people. I don't know exactly how they were doing it, but I heard that and that's why I stopped doing it. But other people are not being punished yet, so I don't know.
I heard that too, but now you can only add 15 people in a direct message group. So people that are in comment pods, they don't do it through Instagram. They do it through a third-party app. I forget what the name's called, but it's no limit, thousands. Telegram? Okay, yeah, hundreds and thousands of people. So before you get a comment from everyone else, you have to go and like every single photo or comment on every single photo for the past 24 hours, and that can be 1,000 or 300. So a lot of people do hire a virtual assistant to do those because those would take 3-4 hours. So I would say that, so comment pods, if they're from other influencers, they're pods. And as well as ask for screenshots of their Insta stories, because you can also buy Insta stories too. But hopefully, if you ask for screenshots of their past, maybe 15, don't ask for just 1 or 3, because they could buy Insta stories. There's so many people that are dishonest, Instagrammers, but there's a lot of honest ones too. So just ask for screenshots of the Insta stories. And if the percentage, I would say, is 2 to 3%, that's pretty low, right? Of your followers, it's probably because you did lots of loop giveaways when you're not a brand, bot followers, pods, fake likes, and because if you did organic following, you should have pretty good Insta story views.
Okay, I'm gonna be the enemy for a quick second. I'm gonna say something that might hurt some feelings in this room. Brace yourself, it's fine. We can be friends after. If you're trying so hard, you're probably doing something wrong. Can I just ignore all the gimmicks? Please just be done with them. Be done. The tricks don't work. They'll work for a hot second. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a rat's ass about those. Do you? Why would your followers, who are real human beings, who are online for a reason? So I recently was able to go to this small, I don't even know what you would call it. It's kind of like a collaborative meeting directly with Facebook. They came into town, they got 50 of us together, picked our brains, taught us some things. It was great, it was awesome. And they told us some insider secrets. Do you want me to tell you some insider secrets? And Instagram and Facebook are now, they own each other. Do you guys know that? They're one and the same. So they mentioned that originally Facebook, for example, because that's what they were really trying to get us back on board with, and I'm you kind of lost us a little while ago, but we'll hear you out. They said originally it was Uncle Joe posting pictures of his cat, and everyone saw it. It was so great, catching up with friends from high school. It was really this way to keep in touch. And then virality hit. It was all about the 1-minute viral videos, the super funny memes, the funny, whatever, viral. And then that kind of died off, and then it was sponsored, everything sponsored. Have you guys seen the commercial, actually, that Facebook has put out recently? Trying to win our hearts back. And now they are throwing that all down the toilet. They are hiding it, banning it, cracking down on Instagram too. And write this down, it is about meaningful social interaction. That is the one and only thing they care about, period. And their goal through 2018 and 19 is to get back to that. They want it to be a platform where you come for meaningful social interaction. If you are on Instagram to get those likes and those follows, go get a job somewhere. You're never gonna win, you're gonna be miserable. It's okay, you don't have to play the game, you don't have to fight. When you're a brand, totally different story. Being a brand with physical product, I have 3 different brand accounts as well. It's a totally different beast. So I'm talking more from maybe more of an influencer standpoint. But just go back to why you went on it in the first place. Be that for your audience, and I promise you'll win. You may have the smallest following of anyone else that you know, but who cares? It really doesn't matter. It doesn't. I was the smallest forever. I actually, back in June, what month are we in? Are we in June? A year ago, I had said that at this mastermind weekend thing, that my goal was to never hit 100,000 followers. Because I literally was like, I don't want to feel that pressure. I don't want to lose sight of who my audience is. I don't want to lose that connection. My goal is to be so interactive and to go so slow that I can still be at the point where I can comment back on comments and really ask them questions and get a good response. And you know what? That mindset, I'm at 130,000 now, on accident. I was actually trying not to grow. And for years leading up to that, it was the grind, it was the tricks, the loops, the follow-unfollows, all this stuff where I was just miserable and none of it worked. Go figure. So all I want to say is there are things that will help your business grow, especially if you have a physical product. You've got to be smart about it. You need to know Facebook ads. You need to know algorithms. You need to go back and know back-end business. But when it comes to meaningful social interaction, that's why people are on there, and that's really what these platforms are trying to get back to. And if it feels like a grind, if it feels like it's grinding more than clicking, if it hurts, just talk to your audience, ask them why they're there, ask them what they want, connect with them, and it'll just happen organically without all the stress, and it's way more fun that way. Don't hate me. I love you guys.
This actually goes back to what Kylie was saying about partnerships and collaborations. So if partnerships and collaborations work for you, how do you go about reaching out to other companies or brands to start working with them?
So one thing, if you're working with influencers, I know that I watch their engagement, I watch how they talk to people and how they act, but I also look at their pictures, because one thing for me as a product company is I want to know that my product looks good, and for me to set up a photo shoot, we're talking a couple $1,000s, and if I can have an influencer who has an adorable room post pictures of my bedding in there, and then they send those pictures to me to reshare on my feed, it saves me time. So pictures are one of the #1 things I look at, and then I also do look at engagement, and just like you, I forgot what the rest of the question was.
How do you go about reaching out?
Oh, so I'll look at that. I love working with other brands because they have the same audience as me, and they have an audience who's buying. So I keep saying for me, but I'm just trying to, so you can understand. So moms are a big part of my audience, and so jewelry, we combined or connected with jewelry companies that I love, and it works really well because my audience, I feel like I create our content around what I like, and so then they tend to like a lot of the things that we bring in and collaborate with. So they don't charge you because you're usually collaborating with another company who most of the time none of us have money. So, but then now we've gotten to the point where we put a collaborations thing on our website. So I haven't really been reaching out. they come in to us, and so that's been helpful if you have some way of letting them know that you want to collaborate, and then we have them fill out a form that says their numbers, their website, their Instagram, and all of those.
This is something that we actually really focus on is, which I said in my last comment, partnerships. And I think, like looking back to when I first started, when I was sitting in a seat just like this, and I wanted to reach out to brands, I wanted to reach out to influencers, but I didn't necessarily know how. And what I found that worked really well was to really start getting to know maybe those brands or those influencers or even just other accounts. They don't necessarily have to be really big to add value to what you're doing. Often it's actually really good to look at partnering with someone who is your same size or maybe a little bit larger at first and work from there. And really what I did was send DMs to different people, to different brands, saying, hey, I love what you're doing. It would be great to collaborate. Would you be interested in learning more? Whatever I wanted to work with them on. And I got a lot of responses. And I think, if you're looking to collaborate on a platform, reach out on that platform. And if you don't hear back, don't give up. Persistency is key. Like I am where I am because I was probably really annoying and really persistent. But it takes hustle. And don't be discouraged if you don't get responses or if you're not growing. Like Jordan said, when it's meant to come, it will. And you'll find what works and you'll be in a good spot. And not necessarily, I'm going way off tangent, but just be confident to reach out and you'll be able to work with different people. Yeah.
Well, follow-up question, and I'll just call the pregnancy brain on this, because maybe this is a dumb question, but aside from a giveaway, what are some different collaborations that you guys are talking about? Like, I'm a photographer, so it's different for different people. I'm a photographer, so it's a different kind of collaboration, obviously, but I'm just wondering if you give a list of different partnerships and what those look like.
So for those of you who didn't hear the question, it was, besides giveaways, which we've talked a lot about, what other ways can you collaborate with other accounts or brands or influencers? And that list coming from me would be content. We have a blog. We really value content. As you were saying, getting maybe collaborating with someone who you can take photos of, for your photography account or for your product, or maybe even someone who can you can write something on their blog about what you do, or even maybe about something that they need. It's called guest posting, and that's done on the platform outside of Instagram. But when you do that, now you have a link back to your website. You can kind of share a little bit of your experience or expertise in whatever you do. For me, it's travel. So I do a lot of, and my team does a lot of guest posting. We don't get anything out of it. We write, initially, we write articles that we really feel, or produce content like photos that we really feel add value to someone within our space. 10 tips to, on how to pack or what it might be. And that is a great way to collaborate content. And you don't have to have a product to do that. And it's just adding value to someone else. And that's something important to remember is how are you going to add value to that person you're reaching out to? Because if there's no value add, it's going to be a really hard way to convince them. Anybody else want to add to that list?
Say, for example, for tan lines, one of the things that I'm planning for this summer is an event with other influencers who I know are already fans of our product and or haven't gotten hold of our product yet but have been wanting it. And one of the ways that I can ensure that they get me speedy content is that we're going to have, we have this really amazing exotic pool area, like the most exotic tropical pool I could find in Utah. We're going to have an event there, and they're all going to wear them, and there'll be a photographer there, so that'd be like where you could come in, for example, and then they can get their photos back, and I know that they'll be really high quality, and I can bring lots of different kinds of influencers, maybe ones who wouldn't normally have like professional photo shoots done like that, so that it's easier for them to share. And if you create, events are really interesting, because if you create an experience that's so remarkable, like we were learning today, remarkable or so, it's so fun for them to come to, they can't help but share. Even the ones who normally like charge a lot maybe to go to that event, if it's just so beautiful, like I walked in and Kiln is so gorgeous, that I just started sharing about Kiln, right? Just because I was like, look at how pretty this place is, this is amazing. And people would people would do that a lot, even if your product is really remarkable as well, or your service or whatever it is, then they'll share just because. But events is one that's really interesting to me. And for photos, obviously you can be collaborating with brands or influencers who need photos. I think being a photographer is maybe one of the easiest ways to collaborate, because I think it's really a hassle to find my own, photographers all the time. And then I had one other thought that I lost for a second.
Yeah, working for free or trading is a really great way to think of collaborating. A collaborative effort is one where you're scratching each other's back. So yeah, like offering free photos for an event or for an influencer to get your name out there. Outside of the photo space, I have found Instagram stories to be a really fantastic, low pressure way to work together with other influencers. Ones that I genuinely love and follow, that I know are growing organically and not doing a bunch of the tricks of the trade. I'll reach out and be like, you know what, I love following you. I think my audience is genuinely going to love you too. Do you want to do a trade? The Follow Friday thing is really kind of fading out. I would really discourage people from using the hashtag and all of that, but make it more organic. So I will genuinely, at some point in the week, I'll just pop on Instagram stories and say why I love following this account. And then a week or 2 or 3 later, they will do the same. And it's just this organic, natural thing. And that's been really great. Another thing is there was a photographer that I used a few times it was clever. They partnered up and created a package deal with other brands. Like you talked about jewelry. That's so genius because if they're not directly in your competitive space, but you have the same audience, share the audience. Photos, makeup artist. You know, it's like most people get their makeup done, or they need clothes, or they need a location. You partner up with Kiln. You partner up with, well, maybe not Kiln because this is a workspace, but some beautiful tropical pool. Or you find some makeup artists that you love, and you create a package deal together. Or you say, hey, you know, if you want, these are the 3 makeup artists that I really recommend. And then on the flip side, as people are getting their makeup done, they're like, hey, these are the 3 photographers I recommend, and that's it. It's a safe collaborative effort.
With collaborations, question?
I got a question. When you're doing this collaboration, so the person who takes the photo owns the copyright, right? So how do you guys all sign a contract before? Do you just kind of share it around and not worry about the legal part? How do you handle it?
Always a contract.
Yeah, and sometimes if I'm not worried about it, then I don't worry about it. But you can have the photographer sign the photos over to you, which you really should do, but you don't have to if you are brand new and not worried about it right at the moment. But you do own the photos, and she could get in trouble for posting them on her blog without your permission if you decided to sue her, but just don't sue her.
It's not a good collaboration. That's not collaboration.
My advice with collaborations is, number 1 is leave your ego at the door. Don't be afraid to ask. What's the worst that they could say? No, right? Is that so bad? You try. Don't leave your ego. I feel like people are so hurt. They get so offended and they're so scared to ask for the fear that people will say no. Let that go and just ask boldly. Just hustle. And with collaborations, like Jordan said, it's like a back scratch, scratching each other's backs.
Table training.
Let's do it. Yeah, so I've had people reach out, say, oh, can we cross post? Kind of like the Follow Friday, you post mine. So I go to theirs, and it's a sewing account, which is mine, but they have 500 followers. And I'm thinking, well, I do love your work, but do I also gain, or am I just posting for you? You know what I mean? So a true successful collaboration is both parties benefit. Always. So it's not just one-sided. So if she had reached out to me and offered some kind of service, maybe, some sewing, maybe, I don't know, a pattern that's designed specifically for my body type or something that's really cool that I get value out of, I would also say yes, of course. And what Emily said with events, I feel like I always tell my influencer friends, that's the smartest way for marketing, blogger events. Because let's say a blogger, you're paying them $1,000 to post. Well, if you invite them to an event, you're not. Bloggers love events. We love to get invited, and you're not spending $1,000 per person for them to post. So I would say, for it to have a successful event, it has to have good food. It doesn't have to be full-on meals, but good food and swag bag and giveaways. Has to have those 3 things. And if you spoil the bloggers, they will post. They will. If it's not good, like you get nothing out of it, they're not going to post.
Well, and the swag can't just be like little sample products. Like it needs to be some legit swag. So then they usually go on and they share the swag bag that they got from your awesome event.
Yes, it can't be just like a little sample size. It has to be good swag. I went to a really good event, Lime Ricky, their swimsuit. So they had like So Delicious. They had our personal orders beforehand, so they had it for each of us, like our personal drinks, like a cookie and like some, desserts. And then we each got a swimsuit, and they had like a cute backdrop, and they had like little giveaways. It wasn't like extravagant, but it was very personal and it was really fun. So I posted about it. But another biggest tip I can give you is hold the giveaway, but in order for them to enter, they have to post on their Instagram or their Insta stories. Because let's say me, I charge $1,500 for Instagram post. Well, I'm not getting paid, but if they're giving away something like $50 even, I'm like, I don't know what it is with competitions. I'm like, oh, I want to enter.
She wins every time.
I do have really good luck with competitions. But so many people enter and post on their Insta stories or their Instagram for a $50 product. Because if a brand reached out to you and said, hey, I'll give you a $50 product, will you post about it? A lot of bigger influencers will say no. But if it's competition, you're at an event and you spoil them, they will post.
I had a thought about how to reach out to brands. How many of you are a brand growing your Instagram account? Okay, and how many of you are influencers growing your Instagram account? Okay.
What's everybody else?
Yeah, what
doing?
start shouting them out. We should
Why
let
are
them
they here?
What are the other people? Just start saying
The whole section, just like, just embarrassed.
musician, photographer, musician. Okay, cool. All right.
Prove it.
Okay.
Dance party.
So if you are a brand, which most of you are, reaching out to an influencer, and I moderated a panel where Rachel Purcell said this actually, and I think that she was really spot on. She said, if I can tell that it's copy and pasted, and I can verify that this is true, and it looks like you literally just pasted it to all of the accounts, or you just like went down and like, hey, I love what you're doing, I'd love to work with you, that's it. Then I'm like, okay, cool. Like, did you even look at anything that I do? So when I have the swim account and they're like, hey, I'd love to work with you, versus, hey, I have this trip to Bali planned. This is where we're staying. It's super gorgeous. I'm thinking my photos will look a lot like these last ones I took. And I'm just like, wow, that would cost me thousands of dollars to fly, to plan a shoot in Bali, right? Versus it's just gonna cost me a swimsuit and that's all she wants. Like, it's amazing. One of the best bets I ever took was recently on a blogger. She's a plus size, beautiful African-American blogger. And she took it to Bali and she gave me so many photos. And she's a smaller blogger. But that content that she gave me, she edited it beautifully. Like, that would have cost me so much money. And she's unique. And her name was like the Destined Gypsy. I'd never heard of her before. And she was small, but I loved her. So that was my favorite collaboration I've ever done.
I'm gonna be really quick because we kind of like beat a dead horse here, but I want to make sure everybody realizes that you don't have to be exactly like another brand, or they're really, even if you don't see a synergy at first, there probably is one. I'm in travel, right? I'm in a service industry, and we are always looking for opportunities to collaborate with brands and with photographers and with content creators and videographers. I mean, there's so many possibilities. I mean, we've even partnered with Vitamix, and how do you take a Vitamix on a trip, right? So I just want everyone to like think outside the box and just remember at the end of the day, it's how you add value. You know, whether that's an event or whether that's whatnot. We actually are starting to put together trips around the world where we are bringing on brands, and we are bringing on influencers, and we are bringing on content creators. And when I talk about influencers, these are pretty big influencers who you would pay a lot, $10,000, $20,000 to post, and because we are adding value it's a trip, you know, that's just an example of what I do. It's not, you know, maybe swag, it's not whatnot. Other brands involved, they you know, bring that, because we're able to come together as a group and add value as influencers, as brands, as content creators, which I think is like everyone in this room, so talk to me after. It's a win-win for everyone, because everybody is getting this added value. So think about what you can offer, and then you know, approach people that way.
Yeah, just to add to that, be genuine, but be generous. Like, it always comes back to you. If someone is saying, can can I do this and this and then I would offer more because they're offering so much. So now I need to offer more. So if you're generous, it always, always, always will come back to you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, this next question is also from our community, and it's, I get overwhelmed by planning and organizing posts. What are some tools that you use for keeping all of your content organized?
I'll go again. So we just recently hired 2 girls to help with social media because I just can't do it all. But they started with Planoly. I don't know, and that's for, well.
I'm gonna go off that. We're trying to use Planoly, but it's not working for us. So I think if it doesn't work for you, it's okay. Okay, yeah, Planoly is Planoly, and you can actually it's a free app if you just use it for like a single user, and you can schedule out your posts, and I think you can actually schedule out your Insta stories now. But one thing I will say, when you use apps like that you will post on behalf of you or whatnot, don't forget what Jordan said, it's all about the social engagement. So if you're not there when it posts, it's kind of dead, right? It always moves. Yeah, so we actually, just because we probably don't use it right, but we don't use a platform to post, we actually physically do it, someone on our team, but more about, I think it's less about the method by which you post, but more about how you engage with the people that are there, whether that's commenting or whatnot.
So do we think that an app posting for you is being punished anymore, or do you just use it to plan? It is still being punished, right?
I don't think so. For me, I like to see, like when we're trying to share, okay, did I show this color, this color, this color?
Yeah.
This,
So I use it as a planning tool, but not to post for me.
I think it's a good blend of both, because if you're out of town for a week, you want to disconnect and you want to be with your family. The Bucket List family, good friends of ours, do you guys follow them? It's like when they post their YouTube video or their Instagram post, it's like 4 in the morning where they are. And Garrett's like setting his alarm on his phone to wake up and post. So there are times where you can use it, obviously, to make your life easier, and it's a really great forecasting tool. Like, I use Planoly once in a while. My best tip is don't be organized, and you have no expectations. It's great. Don't follow anything I say tonight is all you're going to walk away with. But I just don't. I literally will wake up, and whatever I'm feeling about sharing with my audience, or the questions that I'm getting that follow up with the post I did yesterday, if I personally was planned 2 weeks out, I would lose 100% of my connection with my audience, because what I post today is usually based on conversations I had with them yesterday, or the day before, or the week before. So that's my MO. But Planoly is great because you can just fill up your queue. You can have a bunch of unscheduled posts that are just ready to fire off. You can see how it looks in your feed. You can drag and drop. It's a really great tool. And like for my brands, I 100% use something like Planoly, because I kind of have like, okay, a quote, a video, a stock photo, a quote, a video. I have like a more structured plan on my feed. So it depends on what you're looking for. Hootsuite is another one that does not just Instagram, you can kind of do all platforms, so that's a bit good.
Could you repeat that, please?
Hoot, like an owl.
Hootsuite. I don't use Planoly. I don't plan things out. I'm like, I want to share this message. So instead of a picture, I do the opposite. I'm like, what picture should I take? So I look at my blog and I just pick a random picture. But I do use Preview. It's an app called Preview. It's free, and seems like the same thing. You can't like post through it, but you can see like all things. And with Instagram is like a shallow platform. Can we just admit that? It's like a very shallow, materialistic platform.
I don't believe it.
It is, Jordan.
Yeah.
Admit it. Someone told me that Instagram is like people of Target. So even though you hate the superficial, you gotta play the game. It has to be cohesive. Facebook is people of Walmart. They actually don't want it perfect. They love those cat videos, they love it. So
We haven't talked about this yet, and just in case anybody's never thought about this before, so your feed is very important that it looks very cohesive. So if you've never thought about this before, for example, on my feeds, I go through different phases of what I feel like, but right now, on one of my accounts, I like to make sure that my dark images are very spaced out from my like images, almost kind of like a checkerboard. But if I get too into that, I honestly get like Instagram paralysis, and I like can't figure out what to post next, and I feel so like enslaved by this like plan I've decided to follow until I'm finally like just whatever, I'm just gonna post this because it actually happened today. But if you do be a little bit careful, like if you're posting like lots of like scenes with no people in them, space them out with the ones with the people in them, more close up versus far. Busy versus not busy, quotes versus not quotes. Make sure they're not on top of each other so that it doesn't look awkward if there's a quote and there's a quote right underneath it, right? That's where Planoly or Preview can come in handy, or post it, look at it, and delete it, but that can punish you because it looks like you're posting way too frequently. But that's something to think about when you're planning. That's why we're talking about planning your feed in advance if you're wondering why that even matters at all.
And one tool not to be ignored for anyone in this room is your Instagram stories. Those are worth their weight in gold. I don't know how it is for the brands in the room, but for me, I can do this drip campaign, I can collect emails, I can do this huge launch sequence, all of this stuff. But really, if I'm just engaging daily, organically with my audience, showing behind the scenes, it's a blend of like, not just, oh, here's my face, I'm talking with cat ears, and then here's what my kids are eating for lunch, but like behind the scenes of like, oh my gosh, the sneak peek, here's a corner of a fabric coming out, you're teasing. Or for me, it's keeping my traffic up on my evergreen content. I try to swipe up like 3 times a day at least, back to old YouTube videos, back to old content, back to old, to my own products. I'm like constantly training them to swipe up. If you have to click them away from a platform, you're gonna lose them. At least 50%, I find. And so it's nice, Instagram stories are so invaluable in terms of a tool.
I talked to the owner of Poppy and Dot, is that the name? Clothing store, and she said when she started doing Insta stories of just regular people, not models, that she would take pictures professionally for her feed, when she did like a 180 shot, just like a super casual of regular people wearing clothes, her sale went up 4 times. So videos.
Imperfect, unplanned videos.
Can I add? I'm so sorry, keep adding. One thing, I was you. I was like, how do I feel today? I hate this. I hate Arrowhead water today, so I posted it. And it, like, you know, like it doesn't follow my feed. It is. Thank you. It actually was like one of our biggest.
Gas station with one, and I send him back to buy another bottle.
Okay. It's true. So I will still do that, but that method is not scalable. So I can't build a business and hire employees to do what I need them to do, flying by the seat of my pants. So Planoly can post all of those things. You can check and make sure it's what you want it to be, and so it's more scalable. So if I'm an influencer, that's honestly, I think being more genuine is the way to go. As a business, I think you need to, depending on the business, if you don't want to grow, but if you want to scale, you need to have, and I've learned this so much this last year, you have to put plans in place to scale.
Okay, next.
Oh, yeah, this is a quick question. So I guess, can you guys speak to the trend and the rise of the micro-influencer? So from a brand perspective, when you think about your strategy for influencer marketing, how do you, I guess, think about the right people to work with, and what do you think the future of this influencer marketing space is like?
Okay, so the question is, what do you think the future of influencer marketing looks like?
With the rise of micro-influencers.
With the rise of micro-influencers.
Yeah, so I think micro-influencers is anything over less than 50,000 or less than 100,000. And some people call it even smaller.
Whoa,
That's
I
what
was
she's
thinking
I
less
would think
than
like
10.
5,000.
So I thought so too until I started reading about it, and they actually like qualify anything less than 100,000. But it can be whatever it needs to mean to you. I guess if your micro is less than 10, but big brands think of like influencers as like millions, and micro influencers as less than 100,000. So it can depend on what it would mean to you. But like I said earlier, I just forgot the link to define that. But the small ones are actually really great.
So
But
we're,
also, if you are a brand that only has 100,000, wouldn't like someone
Then it might be reflected.
like, you know what I mean, like how that. But if you're Nike,
Then
yeah,
you're a micro.
you know.
yeah, that is true. Anything is small compared to a skyscraper, right? It's like, how do you justify that? It's an interesting concept. I would actually love to hear the brands take on this because I have products. I have digital products, and then we're launching a bunch of physical products coming soon. And I can tell you that my focus will be to get those physical products in the hands of as many micro influencers as I can. Because what happens is, when you have a team, when you're making 6 figures in a day or a week or a month, you have to run your business like a business. As fun as it is to, you have to protect your brand. And it's a bummer, but it's kind of the nature of it, where it comes to a point where you really do have to value your real estate, and you have to put a price on that, and you have to say, I love you, but I really truly can't collaborate on this, because like what Sarah was saying, it just isn't fully collaborative. It's more of like a handout. Or for me, like I rarely work with brands on a sponsored level, like maybe once a year. But I'll take something that I love, like Tan Lines or Betty's, and I will find a creative way to collaborate so it's not sponsored, so it's still organic. Anyway, what I'm getting at is, if you are a brand, or a musician, or a photographer, whatever it is, I hate the word smaller, because like, I find there's more power. You're gonna pay 10 grand for an Instagram post for somebody who's a couple 100,000, and they're getting 100, 200 email offers a day. Whereas, kind of like you were saying about that beautiful influencer that was probably your best collaboration ever, and she was so much smaller, there is a lot of value. I feel like there should be a movie like Rise of the Planet of the Micro-Influencers. Like, I firmly believe that that's gonna be my personal business model, is to just try to get my product into as many hands as everyone. So don't discount it, is what I'm saying, but also don't be offended by the fact that when you do hit a point, you do have to pay a lot of times, and that's just kind of how it goes, because it's a business.
Oh, I was going to say, I managed for my internship last semester. I just graduated with my MBA from BYU. And in my internship, the company that I was working for is a tech company, and we had a $50,000 budget to spend on influencers alone. So we hired someone to help us, and even then, it was not worth it. Like, we could have done, I think we got more influence out of the stuff I've done with my small companies with no budget, because I had to be more creative. I had to work so much harder. So don't think that you're disadvantaged because you don't have a budget so you can afford these bigger influencers. Some of them were micro-influencers, is the industry we call them, or some of them were big influencers, and it still just like wasn't. The one who did the very best actually was Twist Me Pretty. She had the very best conversions, and she was so genuine in her story, and she's trained her audience on her Insta stories to like react well when she decides to talk about something. And what we were talking about earlier, so Instagram will reward or will show it to your people more if they have saved some of your photos, or I don't think you can save Insta stories in any way yet, but save your Instagram photos to folders. So you can save an Instagram picture, you can actually save it to a collection. If you do that, they think they really like they think that you really like them. So for example, Twist Me Pretty's hair. So she probably has a lot of people saving her hair pictures to a collection called Hair Ideas, right? So I think a lot more, one, she's an incredible influencer for all of the things that she does. She reminds me a lot of how she and Jordan conduct their influencing the same way, about the same, I think. But if you can think of a reason why people would need to save your stuff, you can train, they'll see your stuff way more often.
That was off topic, but I did better. And I think to answer your question, from a brand perspective, we definitely look more at engagement and conversions versus like the size. I mean, at the end of the day, your size can be whatever it is, but if you have an engaged audience, and like what you said, you're creating great content, and that's going to convert. And from a brand's perspective, I mean, there's a lot of tools out there that you can use to analyze the influence of an influencer, but I think, for those micro-influencers to really focus on getting that engagement, being genuine, and delivering the content, because that's also as valuable as sometimes the promotion. So, yeah, that's kind of my tip there.
Okay, so this one also comes from our community. It's how much time do you personally spend on your phone posting, doing social media versus it doesn't have to be like a confessional, but how much time do you spend on your phone posting, and how much do you delegate to apps or team members?
Okay, I can tell you. I'll be fast on this one, but I have been struggling with like this concept of, do I have a phone addiction? Because it's tricky when you're business and your employees and everything you do is on a phone, because I don't have formal working hours or formal working office. I just kind of do it when I can. It's tricky, because is Is that an excuse, or is that just how it goes and I need to just accept it? My friend told me about an app called Moments?
Yeah.
Does that sound right? Moments. And it actually pops up. Today, I was on my phone 3 hours and 30 minutes. So that's a lot. That's like a lot of my life, and sometimes it's depressing, some days it's more, some days it's less. But I actually recommend an app like that. It pops up, you set a goal, you know, my goal is to be on it like, I don't even remember, automatically set it as like 5 hours or less every day, which sounds like a lot. I dare you to put it on your phone. Because it's every little thing, and like GPS is up, it's tracking that too, so sometimes it's a little jaded. But it like buzzes, do you have it? Like an alarm goes off when you hit your thing and you're like, ah! I mean, it's loud, it's so totally frightening. It's traumatizing. But anyway, I think it's helpful to know because, and it's okay to accept that a lot of work happens on your phone, but it is nice to be put in check. So, what did you call it? Moments? That's what it's called, right? Little, it's like a flower.
Your day's been like this.
Yeah. Yeah. But like Marco Polo, texting apps, like it's a flawed system because some of it, I'm like, well, I'm not working, I'm just GPSing, but still, I'm on my screen instead of in real life, so, you know.
I think that's where like the planning finally comes in, because I will say, if you want to have true engagement, you are spending hours and hours and hours. I would tell my business partner all the time, I'm like, I promise you I'm working, but it feels like worthless, tedious work, but to keep that engagement and to let people know who you are and give genuine comments on their things to be noticed, you're spending a bazillion hours. And so I have hired 2 people to help out with that.
Okay, so this will be our last question before we open it up to all of you for just kind of free-form questions. And this one is about Instagram kind of interacting with other platforms. So I've been posting the same thing on all social media platforms, but I'm wondering if I should tailor posts to each social media platform or make unique posts for each platform.
Yes. Facebook, people, Walmart, videos can't be longer than a minute. One shot shouldn't be longer than 3 seconds. Even 3 seconds is stretching it. They just like short attention span. Like people judge whether they want to watch your video within, I think, 4 to 6 seconds or something super short. So you need to grab their attention from the beginning. If it's like a tutorial, I show like a before and after. So it catches their attention, and then I show the process. I don't just start from, you know, all the supplies you need, and then every single step, and then at the end. So you gotta grab their attention. Instagram, so when I make a YouTube video, obviously they're like 10 minutes long, so you need to know each platform. So they reward you, the longer the videos, people are watching the videos. So before, YouTube used to reward you for the duration of the length of the video that you used to watch, but now it's all about watch time. So if you post a 10-minute video and people watch maybe 5 minutes versus if you post a 3-minute video and people watch 80%, you still want to create the 10% or 10-minute video. So when I make 10-minute tutorials, because YouTube, you go there to watch tutorials, right? And then I condense it down to 1 minute for Instagram and Facebook. TV, they're saying in order to be successful, you have to edit just for that vertical video. It can't be like a horizontal video, you know, smaller. It can't be, you know, sideways where you have to turn sideways to watch it. You have to adapt to that platform. Oh, have you guys heard about IGTV? Yeah, so you can post, it's an app, but on your Instagram, there's like a TV logo that you can go, and it's like anybody can upload up to an hour of video. So they're trying to be like Google, like take over the world with everything. So yeah, so people are saying, you know, it's all about vertical. I was like, maybe I can repurpose my videos because they're all vertical. You know, as a photographer or like a creative, vertical is more visually appealing, but in order to succeed, you have to learn to adapt.
I would say as well, remember that all of these platforms are businesses, right? And they want to succeed. Facebook, YouTube, So one thing that was really helpful for me was learning to not repost content from a site. For example, if you upload a YouTube video, don't repost that on Facebook. Upload the right version of that video or a different version directly to Facebook, because they're going to reward you for that. So use every platform, I would say, as it was meant to be used. I think it also comes down to time. You do awesome for doing completely different things for every platform, but you can be smart and you can repurpose things if that's the time that you're allotted to do that. But just remember that they all are different platforms and they have different audiences. Facebook is a little bit older usually. Instagram is targeting millennials. YouTube can sometimes be younger than that. So keep that in mind as well. And to take whatever kind of message you have for that day or for that campaign and figure out how you can best use it across the platforms. And don't repost, because you'll be penalized.
Don't share YouTube links on Facebook. Yes. They will penalize you. They don't like each other.
They're competitors, don't forget that.
It's kind of a good, better, best thing for me. I've gone through various phases of my. Hold on, let me get it. I have the worst facial expressions. I cannot do candid pictures. I'm nervous now. Good, better, best. There have been phases of my business where at first it was just a little side hobby, then it was like a little side hustle, and then it became, more, and you have to kind of know where you're at and be realistic about it. I was just speaking to someone who was like, you know what? It was kind of ruining me. I was losing money at it. I was hiring people. I was ignoring my family. I was ignoring my kids. I was unhappy. And at some point you have to find balance. And I believe in B- work. That's like my sweet spot. B-, a lot of days it's like C+ and I'm still cheering. But it's like best is exactly what Sarah's saying. Everybody actually, know your platforms, know your audience. However, I kind of start with this little drip idea in my head where it's like, okay, I'm gonna start with a video. Video's hot everywhere. I don't care who you are, what you do, what platform you're on, video. Live video, especially for Facebook and Instagram. But, so I start with a video, let's say, on YouTube. And it's like, I'm gonna take the time, I'm gonna do it right. I'm not gonna film it on my phone. I'll do it on a real camera. I'll do it horizontally instead of vertically. Okay, but then guess what? You can take that and you can embed it on a blog post. You can shorten it down to 1 minute. Don't give away everything though. Tell them to go somewhere to see the finished product or how to do it. Or else they won't leave that platform. Anyway, but I'll take 1 minute video and I'll post it on Instagram and then I'll post it on Facebook. But you can kind of drip everything down. The good is if you're posting on Instagram anyway, might as well cross-post to Facebook. If you're not gonna post to Facebook at all, it might as well. Cross-post your Instagram stories, cross-post your posts. It is best to not do that, but it is better to have something rather than nothing. And there are phases where it's better to have something than nothing, for sure. Oh yeah, so we have found lives. In fact, last summer, I think this was really a big contributor to my personal growth, was personal growth online, was engaging in live videos. My audience became more engaged. We do Q&A Tuesdays where we sit down on Tuesdays and we'll pick a topic and we'll say, hey, tonight we're talking about fighting about money in marriage. We're going to talk about parenting teenagers. We're going to talk about whatever. We pick a topic where it's just fire away. And we started out with one iPad and it was for Instagram. And then we were like, well, you know what, if we're doing it on Instagram, might as well go live on Facebook at the same time. So then we had 2 iPads. And then we're like, well, if we're going live here, we might as well go live on YouTube at the same time. So now we have 3 iPads that go, and we just hit start at the same time, and we go live on all 3 platforms at once. And it's been great. We have seen continual, exponential, crazy growth by taking one thing and doing B- work, but maximizing that effort.
Okay, we have a few minutes for questions from you guys. And just a reminder, Betsy, Kylie, Sarah. I know my brain is a little sad right now. And Jordan. And yeah. Yes, Carmel.
Question for you.
When you do hire people and you have 2 people helping you to post, and are they ever helping you comment from your voice? Like logging into your account, so they're saying something as if it was you, but it's not really you?
Yes. And a lot of it is, and that's where Plantly comes in handy, is you get to see
I, and now it's our team. I mean, it is, so I want everything that they say or how they write to sound like that. So it's like I'm a little OCD, but I feel like it took me a long time to like let them get in and answer questions and stuff. So I try to make it sound like the Betty's voice. Is that what you mean?
Not your personal.
No,
Is that your personal?
no, what they will do,
People post in your voice?
Not on Instagram, but on everything.
I will
Well,
tell them,
reply.
yeah, they'll answer questions and they'll text me or they'll be in the other room, they're like, they want to know where you got those earrings, or, you know, so like that, they'll say that.
I actually have a tip for that. Because I do think it can be a little dangerous. When my blog was really, when most of my eggs were in my blog, I started bringing on contributors, and I really felt this disconnect from my audience because that was all I had. That was my bread and butter, and you can't duplicate yourself, but you get to a point where you have a brand. So I have several brands, and then I have like my own personal This Is Me. So the This Is Me on Instagram, I handle all of that myself. I have found that is something that I can't scale. I can't train that. But for my products, we have a system, we have a training, and then we use Slack. Do you guys use Slack? It's like a messaging system amongst your team members. So I have a Slack channel just for social media and product questions. So I have digital programs, I have a budgeting program, and people come in with like some really personal financial questions, and my team doesn't have my same brain. They wouldn't answer the same way as me. So if it's a stickler question or something that needs my personal touch, just like you said, we don't have an office, so we can't yell it down the hall, but they'll throw it on Slack. And I'll go at the end of the night and answer those questions via Slack, and then they'll just copy and paste them as me. Facebook messages, a lot of it's like, oh my gosh, you're so nice, thanks, love you, smiley face, kiss, kiss, kiss. Great, that's fine. But then, and they can reply as me, they do a good job. But there are certain things they don't touch, certain things they can, but certain things they touch with my approval. Yes, right.
Are your guys' Instagram handles on that paper so we can make sure we follow it?
Yes, so we can post the Instagram handles in our Insta stories. And we're Braid Workshop on Instagram if you don't follow us yet. But we'll post all of the handles. Let's see. Beverly first, and then over here.
Someone mentioned training your audience. What is that? How do you do that?
So what does training your audience mean?
So what I meant by that was, for example, well, Jordan, I guess, can answer this too, but Jordan was the example I was giving, and like Betsy, for example, they post a whole bunch on Insta stories about things sometimes that have nothing to do with what they're selling. And so they've trained me, for example, as one of their followers, maybe is why I'm realizing this, where I already know a little bit about Betsy's life and Jordan's life. So when they post like an everyday, like, this is so random, but look at this thing that I found, or look how funny this thing is, I'm like, well, that's like a normal thing for her to do. And it's normal for me to make sure that I want to watch Betsy's story, because even if it's not about, I know it's not gonna be just about Betty's, because I know about Betty's. I know it's gonna be about her, so I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And if she does mention something, she's like really passionate about it. She's not talking about stuff that she doesn't care about. So she's trained me to know that she's authentic. That's what I mean by that. It's not like an official thing.
I think there are like 3 things you can train your audience to do personally. One of them is how to engage and when. One of them is where to go for what particular content or what they're looking for. I'm making this up on the spot, so let me think of a third one really quick. Third is when you're serious and when you're hashtag ad. You know, it's like, I feel like there's a way that you can train your audience. Train your audience to buy. That actually was something I wanted to say. So, for example, like my Instagram stories, pretty much never wearing makeup. Like, if you do not want to see me eating and talking, don't go there, because it's just me. But you do, yeah. But but then it's like my feed is more curated and it's more edited, and little things like when I do a YouTube video, I don't condense the whole video to 1 minute. I give them a teaser and I train them to watch it. So they don't expect to get the end result, they don't expect to get the secret sauce, they don't expect to get the printables. I make them go, and not to YouTube, because I want to double dip that content. I embed the YouTube onto my blog because then I'm getting my blog ad revenue and YouTube ad revenue, and then I can link to a whole bunch of other things. And anyway, so I've trained people, go back to my blog. If you want the printable, if you want the freebie, I don't ever change the link in my profile. I just go to my blog. Go to my blog, shuffle down a couple posts, give me a few extra clicks, that's great, it's all there. And then, but yeah, if I add links on Instagram, I'm like, oh, I've linked to that in my Instagram stories. For products that I love, I have one page on Amazon. So instead of linking to individual, I used to do this, link to individual affiliated products, I just have one favorites page on my blog, or I have one Amazon page with all my favorites, where I'm like, oh yeah, just go to, I make a short link for everything. If you guys don't have the pretty links plugin, if you have a blog, lifesaver. So it takes any link and it makes it pretty. So like funcheaperfree.com/Amazon takes people to my Amazon page where all my favorite things are on one page. I can add to it as much as I want, and then I'm getting your cookies on all those products. So I don't know, I do think, and then you have to train them to buy. If you are always giving away the cow for free, why would they buy? No, hold on. What is that? If you give away the milk for free, why would they buy the cow? So I believe in giving your best content for free, but I do believe that you can train. My audience is fun, cheap, or free. Remember, like, we are a cheap crowd, and my audience will, like, I'll post a $300 bag and sell them out because I'm very particular that when I do, I'm so surprised you compared me with Abby Smith. I actually think we're very opposite.
I meant in your, like, how when you were talking, you didn't
Yeah.
script it.
Yeah.
And
She's
you're
adorable.
fancy.
I
Like,
love her.
when you get on there, I know that you're saying that thing because you literally just thought of it and you wanted to share it with me so bad.
Her Instagram stories are great. Go watch her Instagram stories. But on her feed, it's like every single post is an ad. Almost every single one. And I've tuned out her opinions. I love her. She's a dear friend of mine. I'll watch her Instagram stories all day. But I've trained my audience that I'm so careful that when I do post something, I will sell. I have to tell that company, like, I hope you have like 5,000 of them because I will literally, and that's actually true, like I'll literally 30,000 sometimes for whatever it is, but because I've trained them to listen when I tell them to buy. Wow, I talk short, sorry.
And then one question here, and then you'll be our last.
So what's been some of your biggest frustrations with the Instagram algorithm, and then how did you combat those / stay motivated?
Can you repeat it?
How do you stay motivated with the change in the algorithm? Did I get it?
And how did you combat the changes?
I feel like I'm like the person that shouldn't be on this panel because I'm like, I don't take Instagram seriously, I don't plan it out, I like hardly post sponsored posts, like I don't use Instagram to make money, but just don't take it that seriously. I feel like the success I've had is because number one reason why I have Instagram or everything that I do, like blog, YouTube, it's number one reason isn't for me. It's not for my personal gain. I feel like if you have a higher cause that's bigger than yourself, then when you're not motivated, you'll be like, well, I'm not doing this for me. It's not for me, it's for other people. So when I get I pray to get like inspirations to share uplifting messages to my followers. That's like number one reason why. So when I don't like posting, I hate Instagram, I hate social media. But when I feel inspired, I'm like, oh, I'm going to post this for other people. So when you know, the reason you do, like, it's totally okay to say, okay, my reason for doing this is to make money, but maybe number one reason shouldn't be I want to make money so that I can have nice cars, keep with the Joneses, and feel like I'm so, you know, successful. Do it so that I want to make a lot of money so that I can help the poor. Or Betty's. I want to sell Betty's so that people will, you know, not take so much time getting ready in the morning, and then once you make the bed, it's like the mentality, you feel better and you do better, right? So there's many ways, even if it's like money-driven business, there's many ways where it can be for a higher cause than just your own selfish gain.
And I think to add to that, it's always be ready to try the new things, right? When Instagram stories came out, I remember I was like, we're not gonna do those, like, they're weird. But really quickly I realized that, you know, that was something that we needed to do, and it was kind of fun and exciting. So I think if you approach like the algorithm changes as an opportunity to start fresh, like with everybody else. You can forget about, the big influencers, maybe, the people that, are maybe discouraging you because they're so big, or whatnot, and treat it like an opportunity to really kind of pursue it. And it is difficult. I mean, I've definitely been there. Now we have the new IGTV coming out, and right now in my mind, I'm like, what in the world are we gonna do with that? Like, that hours of time creating these videos. We're in travel, so we have a lot of content, but so I think it's a matter of just rolling with the punches and laughing about it and knowing that you're gonna make mistakes, but you also have a great opportunity to grow. So that's how I approach it.
With the algorithm, don't not post for like 2 weeks. I've done that, 3 weeks. You come back, it sucks. So post as much as you can. Even if you're not posting on your feed, post on your stories. Or post regularly.
How often?
6 a day is my magic number.
What?
6 Insta stories.
Instagram doesn't want you to post more than once a day unless you're over 500,000 followers or more. 500,000 followers or more, they're like, it's fair game. Or if you're a product like Poppy and Doc, they're posting several outfits a day. They post like 7 times a day on their feed. And that's fine because they're selling a product that you can buy directly. I mean, you leave a comment in the comment section and it sends you an invoice. So,
But
once a day at most is what Instagram is looking at right now.
What's the least? Once a day is like where I should be. Don't go a couple weeks. Like
At least it's once a day. Just once a day.
Once a day is ideal. At least every other day. Like, don't go
Or
on.
Instagram stories. 6 a day on Instagram stories is what I meant. Like at least that's keeping engagement.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say we post every other day, and that might change, but right now it's working for us.
Same
And
time?
Same time, consistency. We post about 7 or 8 p.m. every night. That's what works for us. So I think that's hard. It totally depends on your audience and you. We find that we have the best engagement when we post every other day, but we're also not
You post
influencers.
all the time.
Oh,
Your
yes.
algorithm is like, I see you.
Yeah,
like, I
it
see
is a
everything
lot.
you post.
So I think it just totally depends. I mean, we're a brand, not an influencer, and we really want to provide the content. We don't try to sell a lot actually on our Instagram platform. I think what Jordan hit on was huge. It's there to provide inspiring content and tell fun facts about the world. We talk
Okay, I
about
know you
world
said the
politics.
questions are done, but do you guys find that your captions, it's better if your captions are less related to your image or more?
You need to know your audience.
I never
Why are
read-
they there?
I don't read people's captions.
You're a queen of your captions.
I admit it, I'm like the world's longest caption writer. Like, I have to edit things to make each word shorter, but
I've
people
seen
love
a
it.
trend- I've seen the trend that it's like the caption has less to do with this moment in time as it does.
I want to talk about something.
So longer the captions, like the more people spend time, like the more they like, more comment or watch a video, the more it'll play on your algorithm feed. So the more they engage with
Just
you.
playing with it. Like,
So
Well,
long
you're a
captions are great.
photographer, So you might, they're there to see your work and your pictures. So I think you need to know your
which I was
audience.
like sticking to like, okay, what's my most current work, right? But then I've seen this trend of like, just post something.
But yours is a magazine. I'm
Yeah.
looking at you.
Yeah.
So if somebody tells me, oh,
Yeah.
you need this photographer, so I go back and I flip through your magazine to go see what it is. So your feed has to look like what you have.
I would say same with your guys' too.
Yeah.
People are there just to see like, oh, what's this?
But
what
it's
color
even
is
like
this?
better than Better Business Bureau, like you can pay for an A rating with that, but now I get to see your feed, I get to
I
see
think
what
it's hard to
people
get
think
hung
about you.
up on the caption, like.
No, don't get
check
hung
your
up on the
work.
caption. As a photographer, you don't need to get,
Okay.
like, guess what? Me and like every person except for one at our office doesn't read captions.
I hate that.
Like I don't, I wanna see like my friends or whatever. If somebody writes something thoughtful, I can tell like
But
if
is
it's
there
like
something in
mine.
the algorithm that it needs to be like a link or one better than the other?
I don't think so. I've heard from an Instagram conference that if you're a business, like selling a product, it's not like a personal influencer, 5 business posts and then 1 personal. And that's a great way to humanize your brand, but no less than that of personal posts. So I have a friend that's a photographer, and she has amazing engagement and followers, and she does that rule. She posts 5, all business, and then she posts 1, like, it could be the most random thing, like lip syncing, but people love it.
But I
Because
get worried that it's messing with the like.
Don't,
Right.
You're overthinking
don't worry,
it.
don't
Okay.
algorithm is always going to change.
Visually, yeah.
Then you can have like a pretty visual, but then the caption can be personal. Or just,
It's like, okay, we go more personal on our stories. So if Angie and I are in our stories where we're not so much in our feed. So you could do that. So when you're coming, it's like, wait, is she a photographer? Is she a vlogger? You know, so for your situation, if I'm looking at for a photographer, I want to see just your pictures that you've taken. And maybe then if I'm following you, then I want to see you behind the stories.
Okay, I have a good example. Does anybody follow the home edits? Someone just told me about them. Look them up on Instagram. If you look at their feed, the home edit, like editor, home edit. There is nothing personal on their feed. It's beautiful home spaces. They're like organizers, design. I honestly don't know. But their Instagram stories, it's 2 women. They're always drinking. They are so bleeping funny. They are so funny. And they have so many followers. Their engagement is insane. And their feed is stunning. Not a picture of them on there. You would never know them in a crowd unless you're in on this Instagram story thing. So I think they are a great example of how you can take a very serious, curated, high-end, beautiful, cultivated feed and create super fans out of it in Insta stories. And their captions aren't even, I mean, some of them are a little clever, but it's, I don't know, they didn't nail it. Yeah.
I would love to hire a photographer that I've been following her Insta stories, so that because you get so personal with the photographer, they're shooting you and your family. I would love to have already gotten to know her, and I love her work. Yeah, that's cool. You should do that.
I don't want to be on the camera.
That's okay, that's okay. Honestly, as a photographer, like, I look at your photos, and I want to see all the different kinds. Like, I want to see them.
What do you want to see on my Insta stories?
You. We're gonna hang out when you shoot me.
Yeah, but it's low pressure. Like, don't just get on there to beat the algorithm. Get on there because you had something important to say. You know, like, keep it real.
or if you had a bad day, like there's so much power in vulnerability. So if you like say not so perfect moments, or like I did this photo shoot and I got lost and I was late, or like this photo shoot, something happened that was, you know, like you're you.
Or you're going to the shoot and you don't film yourself.
People think
Like,
that's fun.
I don't know, you guys. I'm gonna be the devil's advocate because it depends on what your audience. It can kill a brand. I don't know. I have to say there are some people that I followed for whatever reason, and then all of a sudden they started popping up more. And for whatever reason, who they were on camera wasn't really fitting like who I built it. Their voice, everything was different. They're like kind of awkward on camera, and I'm like, it kind of like broke the relationship for me a little bit. So what I would say is,
I'll hire someone just
like make an avatar. Like, do you guys know Allison Faulkner? Okay, good friend. She says invest in the people who invest in you. And I would just say, if you have 5 followers, if you have 1 comment, if you have 1 view on your Instagram stories, ask them what they want to see next. Invest back. If anyone took 5 seconds to engage with you, don't worry about getting new followers. Start with the people you already have and respond back to them. Ask them, like, hey, what do you want to see next? Sometimes I will do a post literally asking, like, hey guys, we have some new friends here in the neighborhood, whether I do or not, doesn't matter, but it's like, I'd love to know, why are you guys here? What is it? People will tell you. They love sharing opinions, and that's a great way to start. And then it's so much less pressure, because then you're not worried about the tricks and the timing and the algorithm. There are tips. You will find that you'll hone that as you go. But the people who are there already, find out why. Do they love your videos? Do they love your Instagram stories? Or really, do they love your beautiful curated content or your long captions? It's like, they're there for a reason. Find out why.
But be you, be genuine the whole time. If you don't feel comfortable doing stories, don't do stories because you think you're beating the algorithm. If you, like, you are a great photographer, just post that, and that's what you are. You are a great photographer. You don't have to all of a sudden be doing selfies.
Sorry to take over the.
No.
Everybody.
Would you guys watch her Insta stories? I would watch that.
I'll post one tonight.
We do need to wrap up, but please, if you have questions, are you guys okay with people coming up later and talking with you? Okay.
Bring treats. We'll talk.
And also, our Facebook group is a great place to engage with everybody who's here tonight. And our next event will be July 19th in this space again. It'll be all about getting to know the people in our community. And if you're an introvert, or if networking freaks you out, it's okay, because the event will be designed by an introvert, which is me. And I'd like to thank Kill again for hosting us tonight. Feel free to walk around the space, it's gorgeous, and there's like, you can walk, it's kind of like a U-shape, kind of walk around and look at everything. There's still treats from Sunrise Kitchen over there, and if you want to chat with Christine and Mackenzie, right. And we have, we're doing like a little swag shop for the first time ever in Braid history. We have some keychains with little cheeky sayings on them. My favorite, I have two favorite ones. One is all my honey's making money, and then the other one is girls. It's just girls, like all the keychain. But take a look and see if it would brighten your day. I have one like all of my different sets of keys. And then Mackenzie and Christine, if you guys want to learn more about what they do, they will pop up in your office and set up like a tailoring shop for the day, and everything will be done by the end of the day for your company or whoever you're working with. Also, if you haven't dropped your Instagram handle yet, we have a huge sticky. These are actually like huge sticky notes. We'd love to connect with you, and for other people in our community to connect with you as well. Let's see, I think I covered everything. Thank you so much everyone for coming tonight. We hope to see you guys again soon, and thank you to our fabulous panel.